What's up, guys? The Snowman here with my 2021 Australian Open men's draw preview. Busy times in the tennis world right now. We went from having absolutely no tennis at all the last few weeks to complete overload this week, really. There was a lengthy quarantine process for many of the athletes upon their arrivals in Melbourne. Also, some more COVID adversity in just the last couple of days. So, fingers crossed that everything goes smoothly and in a safe way according to plan. But I'm so excited. Many of the big names are in Melbourne for the first Grand Slam of the year. Please check out my women's draw preview as well. But for right now, let's dissect the men's Aussie Open draw. And really quickly, before we look at the first quarter of the draw, a few men who won't be in Melbourne: Roger Federer and Juan Martín del Potro still out with injury. Fed's hoping to return in March at the 500 level event in Doha. Andy Murray out because of COVID reasons, and the young American Sebastian Korda not at the Australian Open as well. On to the draw, and this is the top quarter, world number one, Novak Djokovic here. Most odds makers have Joker around 1-1 or plus 100 odds to win the tournament, meaning there's about a 50% chance that he wins the whole thing, a 50% chance somebody not named Djokovic wins it. This is, of course, Novak's best major historically, an 8-time champion. He's got a lot to gain this year, still chasing Roger and Rafa in terms of career Grand Slams, and he could pass Federer in March with all-time weeks as world number one. Joker looked phenomenal to me versus Shapovalov in his ATP Cup opener this week. Served well, winning 80% of first serve points. Didn't face a single break point. And you don't need me to tell you, but when Djokovic is getting free points on his serve, holding with ease, that just amps up the scoreboard pressure even more on his opponents, leading to those inevitable breaks. The Serbian's been nearly invincible over the last 18 months, beat Zverev yesterday too. That being said, I don't think Novak will be in love with this draw. He's got the veteran Frenchman and former Laver Cup teammate Jeremy Chardy in round one. Maybe Tiafoe in the second round, could be a big server in the third round. Riley Opelka, not a guy you want to see if you're a title contender. For the round of 16, it's likely Milos Raonic or Stan Wawrinka, and if it's the latter, Stan won't be afraid of Djokovic. He's beaten him the last two times they've played, both at the US Open. Wawrinka's also knocked off Novak here in Melbourne, so just a tough matchup for Joker because his defense is rendered useless against Stan's bludgeoning ball striking ability. Stan always going to be a big match player, rising to the occasion when it matters most. Not as many fireworks in the bottom half of this first quarter. The 10-seed Gael Monfils had to pull out of the ATP Cup with a minor shoulder injury. For the 6-seed Alexander Zverev, it was a tumultuous year off the court in 2020, most of it self-inflicted, but he's searching for some solace on the court. Zverev did knock out Shapovalov a few days ago at the ATP Cup. Looked pretty solid in my estimation. He served really well, going for some big second serves. Same thing in a tight loss to Djokovic yesterday. And Zverev is always going to throw in the double faults, but look, if he can just keep his foot on the gas and stay aggressive, over the last 2 years, Zverev has the most double faults per match with almost 6. And the worst second serve points won percentage of anyone in the top 25. As always, that second serve is the key for the German. Section number 2, this is by far the most entertaining section from a pure tennis standpoint. There are some first round gems, some utter beauties. We have to start with the number 3 player in the world, Dominic Thiem, who's looking to get back to the Australian Open final after that gripping 5-set finale versus Djokovic last year. The Austrian travels to Melbourne this time with a Grand Slam title on his resume. Oddly enough, I kind of like how Team Austria didn't go far in the ATP Cup this week. Team didn't have to exert himself much. He's going to have a slight rest advantage with all these tournaments being back-to-back. Should be working with a full tank of gas. Team has been known to pack his annual playing schedule to the brim. Maybe this time he'll have a feeling of freshness and rejuvenation. I want to look at Team's potential path to the semis, but I just have to point out the number one thing that caught my eye when I woke up this morning and looked at the draw. Number 11, Denis Shapovalov versus Jannik Sinner. Two studs who will be watching for the next 15 years, hopefully. Both so electric, so dynamic on the court, can hit any shot in the book. This is their first career meeting, so similar in talent, but yet so contrasting when it comes to how they present themselves. Shapo is all the fire, the passion, the emotion, and Sinner, the Iceman, so calm, so composed. In my 2021 season's prediction video, I said I believe Sinner finishes this year inside the top 20. We've heard all this talk about the stock market lately. Well, give me all of your Jannik Sinner stock. I mean, he's going to have a GameStop-esque surge up the rankings. just has the total package. He'll become a household name this year, and what a first-round matchup that is. Bookmark it for sure. A couple other popcorn first-rounders in this section. The 18 seed Grigor Dimitrov against Marin Cilic, two guys who are definitely overqualified to meet in the first round. Number 15, Pablo Carreño Busta playing Kei Nishikori. That could be a long, grueling five-setter. And number 20, Felix Auger-Aliassime is in the Chapo Sinner mini section 2. Can he keep growing his game? Oh, and by the way, Nick Kyrgios in this quarter as well. Kyrgios could play team in the third round. He's been out of the game for 12 months until this week's tune-up events. Nick, one of the players who decided to stay home, not return last year due to COVID and travel concerns. Unfortunately for him, just didn't look right against Borna Coric yesterday, had his left knee heavily wrapped up, so health and form is a big question mark for Kyrgios. That means I like the draw overall for Dominic Thiem. One other note at the bottom, number 8, Diego Schwartzman. He's probably just happy to not be in Daniil Medvedev's quarter. The Russian has defeated Schwartzman at the last 3 tournaments he's played in. Moving on to section 3, let's catch our breath a bit. Not as many must-see items in this quarter, but we do have the aforementioned 4-seed Daniil Medvedev at the bottom of your screen. Maybe somewhat quietly, Medvedev has been incinerating opponents to the tune of a 12-match win streak dating back to titles in Paris and at the ATP Finals last year. Some huge wins during this streak. He's beaten Djokovic, Nadal, Thiem, Zverev twice, Diego Schwartzman 3 times, basically all of the big names. The Russian definitely seems to have regained his magical form from the summer of 2019. I basically consider Medvedev, Nadal, and Thiem all on the same level for this event. All 3 players have very similar hardcourt ELO ratings. Djokovic just a tick above them, but I can really see any of the 4 winning the Australian Open. Especially with this draw for Medvedev, he'll have to manage a tricky first rounder against Vasek Pospisil, who went on a nice run himself late last year. These two guys met in Vienna back in October. Medvedev coming back to win in 3 sets. Other than Pospisil, I don't see that many players in this section who can slow Medvedev down. In the middle, I see number 13, David Goffin, potentially getting upset in the first round by Alexei Popyrin. Borna Coric could be a tough 4th-round opponent. He's actually played excellently this week. And then at the top, it's Medvedev's Team Russia teammate and friend, number 7, Andrei Rublev, who led the ATP last year with 5 titles. Also led the tour with 41 wins in 2020, tied with Djokovic for the most. Rublev's been in cruise control for the ATP Cup this week, dropping just 7 games total in matches to Guido Pella and Yoshi Nishioka. Team Russia in the semifinals, and I think we've got a solid chance of seeing the 2 Russians meet up in the quarterfinals. Roberto Bautista Agut, the other top seed in this section. Also watch out for the German Jan-Lennard Struff, who just beat Raonic and Dusan Lajovic in the ATP Cup. He's serving with a ton of pop and winning a lot of points at the net. Final section now, and at the bottom we see world number 2, Rafa Nadal. The big headline with Rafa, he's looking to take sole possession of first place in the most career Grand Slam titles list. He and Fed tied with 20 at the moment. Nadal did pull out of the ATP Cup with a sore back, so we hope he's 100%. Difficult to forecast current form when we haven't seen him yet this year, but Rafa's Rafa. He'll be fine. One neat record that Nadal broke last month. He's now been in the top 10 of the ATP rankings for over 800 consecutive weeks. That's since April 2005. Top 10 every week for almost 16 years. He passed Jimmy Connors in that category last year. Just remarkable consistency for the legend despite his fair share of injuries. As for his draw is concerned, no huge power guys in his mini section who can give him trouble. And even if you open it up to the 4th round, Rafa would be very comfortable against the likes of Fabio Fognini or Alex de Minaur. The Demon, one of 3 ATP players already with a title this year. More firepower in the top half. Watch out for number 9, Matteo Berrettini, who picked up maybe the best win of his young career this week at the ATP Cup, 6-2, 6-4 over Dominic Thiem. Followed that up with a straight sets victory over Gael Monfils. He's serving so massive, pushing opponents out wide, opening up the court to perfection, hitting a ton of first ball forehands. And Berrettini could be dangerous, but it's a nightmare first round draw against Kevin Anderson. That's going to put his tournament life in jeopardy right away. Number 19, Karen Khachanov, always a threat. And the 5 seed, Stefanos Tsitsipas, looked good this week against de Minaur and Bautista Agut, picking up victories. His first round opponent, Gilles Simon, guaranteed to make the Greek work for every possible shot. hopefully we get a Steph versus Rafa showdown in the quarters. That would be awesome. If I had to pick, I'd actually give Tsitsipas the edge there just because Rafa hasn't played yet. Overall, I think Thiem gets revenge against Djokovic, defeats him in the first semifinal. Give me Medvedev over Tsitsipas in the other semi, and it's always perilous to go against the big three, but my instinct tells me Dominic Thiem has a great chance of winning this Aussie Open title. I've got him beating Medvedev in the final. And thank you so much for watching. Please leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts about this draw, who you think will do well at the Aussie Open. Please subscribe to the Snowman Sports Meter for more tennis content. Check out my women's preview as well. And I'll be back real soon. Enjoy the tennis down under. Cheers.